John Carter stood at the window of the space station, looking at the strange ship that had just arrived. It was the year 2157, and humans had built homes on Mars and Europa. They had been alone in space until today. "Admiral Carter, they're ready to talk," said Samantha Wells. She was Earth's top diplomat sent to meet the aliens. The ship outside was bigger than any human ship. It had smooth sides that changed color in the light. Carter felt small next to it, but he did not show his fear. "Let's not keep our guests waiting," he said. The meeting room was large. On one side sat the humans, Carter, Wells, and 5 others from Earth's government. On the other side were the aliens. There were 2 main types. The Zeridians looked almost human, but with light blue skin and large eyes. The Krell were very different, tall, with bodies like praying mantises and eyes that moved in all directions. "We welcome you to the Galactic Council," said the Zeridian. Its voice was soft and clear. "I am High Minister Zayal. We have watched your people grow for many years." Samantha Wells leaned forward. "You've been watching us?" "Of course," said Zal. "We watch all young species. The galaxy is full of life. 17 advanced species form our council, which has kept peace for thousands of years." The Krell made a clicking sound. "I am Supreme Commander Vor," it said in a harsh voice. "Your species has done well to reach nearby planets, but the galaxy is dangerous. You need our protection." Carter didn't like how the Krell said this. It sounded more like a threat than an offer. The aliens explained the deal. Earth could join the council and get help with new technology. In return, humans must follow council rules. No making certain weapons, no going to certain star systems and letting council ships check Earth's planets any time. Many Earth leaders were happy with the deal. People celebrated in the streets when they heard aliens were real and wanted to be friends, but not everyone was happy. "This is a bad deal," said Vice Admiral Patricia Hendricks at the military meeting. "Why can't we build quantum drives if they're so safe? Why can't we visit the Centauri stars when they're right next door? Something is wrong here." Carter shared her worries, but Earth's governments had made up their minds. 6 weeks later, the treaty was signed. The Galactic Council welcomed humanity as its newest member. For 6 months, things seemed good. Alien teachers came to Earth to show new farming methods. Human students went to council worlds to learn. Trade ships brought strange fruits and materials. Then came the day that changed everything. Carter was in his office on Earth when the emergency call came in. The screen showed the face of the Europa base commander, Lisa Wright. Her face was covered. "In blood, we're under attack," she shouted over the sound of alarms. "It's a council ship, a Krell battle cruiser. They just opened fire without warning. We've lost the main dome and—" The screen went black. 3,000 people died on Europa that day. When Earth demanded answers, the council gave a cold reply. "We found proof that your Europa base was working on quantum displacement technology," said Zal in a public message. "This is forbidden to new species. The council voted for a preventative strike, as allowed by Section 12 of the treaty you signed." The world was in shock. Rage spread across Earth and Mars. People wanted war, but the council's ships were far stronger than anything humans had. President Eliza Harper called an emergency meeting with only the highest leaders present. "No records were kept. They're lying," said Alan Blackwood, the defense secretary. "We weren't building quantum tech on Europa. That base was for water mining and biology research." "I know," said Harper. "My question is, why did they really attack us?" Grace Daniels, the top intelligence officer, stepped forward with a data pad. "I found something in the council's open records. This isn't the first time they've done this. 3 other species in the last 100 years. All followed the same pattern." She showed them images of 3 different alien worlds. The Nexari, the Voloth, and the Gyptar. All were welcomed into the council. All had a major base or city destroyed within a year for treaty violations. All are now small, weak members that do whatever the council says. The room was quiet as everyone understood what this meant. "They never meant to make us equals," said Carter. "This is how they control new species. They bring us in with nice words, then break us with one hard blow." And we're supposed to just accept this? Asked Hendricks, her face red with anger. No, said President Harper firmly. We will not, but we need to be smart. If we fight now, we lose. We need time. She stood up and looked at each person in the room. From this moment, we have two faces. To the Council, we are hurt but accepting. We protest but we obey. We act defeated. Her eyes narrowed. But behind this mask we prepare. Every resource, every mind, every second we can spare goes toward one goal, making sure humanity is never at their mercy again. Carter nodded slowly. How long do we need? 2 years, said Blackwood. Maybe less if we take risks. Then we have a plan, said Harper. Outside this room, the official response is that we accept the Council's action, protest the lack of warning, and will comply with all treaty terms going forward. And the real response? Asked Hendricks. Harper's face was like stone. The real response is that we're going to show them exactly why they should have feared us from the start. As the meeting ended, Carter looked at the picture of Europa on the wall, its icy surface hiding an ocean beneath. Now it also hid the bodies of 3,000 human pioneers. They think they've seen what humans do when we're angry, he said quietly to Hendricks as they left. They have no idea. The world changed after the Europa attack. On the surface, life went on. People went to work. Children went to school. Council ships came and went from Earth's orbit. But beneath this normal life, humanity was getting ready for war. President Harper created a new group called the Terran Alliance. It included all Earth nations and the Mars colonies. The public thought it was just a new name. They didn't know about its secret purpose, Project Lazarus. We need to build in places the Council can't see, said Defense Secretary Blackwood at the first secret meeting, deep underground inside asteroids on the far side of the moon. Admiral Carter nodded. And we need to make them think we're still weak and scared. The plan had many parts. Each was hidden from the Council's watching eyes. Far below the surface of the Rocky Mountains, Kyle Freeman worked with a team of scientists. They were building the quantum displacement device, the very thing the Council had used as an excuse to attack Europa. The Council was right to fear this, Freeman said as he looked at the glowing machine. They just didn't know we'd actually build it. The device could move objects instantly across space. For ships, this meant no more long journeys between stars. For weapons, it meant striking anywhere without warning. At the same time, Olivia Martinez led a team working on new body armor. Her lab was hidden in an old mine shaft in Australia. Regular armor stops bullets, she explained to visiting military officers. This stops energy weapons. We studied the debris from Europa to learn how Krell weapons work. She pointed to a soldier wearing the new suit. Fire at him, she said. The test weapon fired a beam like the Krell ships used. The beam hit the armor and spread out like water on glass. The soldier didn't even move. Now we can stand up to their weapons, Martinez said, with a smile. In space, the work was harder to hide. Captain Benjamin Morris commanded the first new ship, the TSS Defiance. It was built in pieces inside asteroid mines, then put together in the shadow of Saturn where Council ships rarely went. This ship has no windows, Morris told his crew on their first day. One flash of light could give us away. We train in virtual reality until the time comes to fight for real. The ship had new shields based on Zeridian technology that the Council thought humans couldn't understand yet. It had weapons that used gravity itself to crush enemy ships. Most important, it had the quantum drive that Freeman's team had built. While scientists and soldiers prepared, Grace Daniels worked in the shadows. As Earth's top spy, she placed agents on Council worlds. Some were humans posing as traitors. Others were aliens who didn't like how the Council treated their people. The Council isn't as united as they want us to think, Daniels reported to President Harper. Many of the smaller species hate the Zeridians and Krell. They're forced to obey. She showed pictures of 17 different alien species. These 5 would help us if we showed we could win. These 3 will stay neutral. The rest will fight with the Council until they think they might lose. President Harper studied the reports every night. During the day, she played her public role, meeting with council representatives, accepting their help to rebuild Europa, and always acting grateful. "How much longer must we bow to them?" asked Vice Admiral Hendricks after one such meeting. "Not much longer," Harper answered. "The fleet will be ready in 6 months. The weapons in 8. The question is, when do we strike?" The answer came from the council itself. High Minister Zal announced that the council would place observation posts throughout the solar system to help protect Earth. These were really weapon platforms that could destroy any human ship that tried to leave the solar system. "Once those are in place, we'll never break free," Carter told the War Council. "They'll have us trapped forever." President Harper stood up. "Then we strike. The night before they arrive, how ready are we?" "The fleet is at 80% strength," reported Blackwood. "We have 50 ships that can fight. Not enough to win a long war, but enough for a first strike." "The quantum weapons?" Harper asked. "Ready," said Freeman. "We can hit targets anywhere in council space." "And our intelligence?" Harper turned to Daniels. "We know where to hit them," she replied. "Their central command stations, their main fleet bases, and their communication hubs. We have the coordinates for all of them." Harper looked around the room at the faces of Earth's top leaders. 2 years ago, they murdered our people and expected us to just accept it. They thought we were weak. They thought we were divided. They were wrong. She pointed to the star map showing council space. "In 1 month, we show them exactly what humanity does when backed into a corner. We call it Operation Thunderbolt." As the meeting ended, Captain Morris returned to his hidden ship. His crew had been living in space for months, waiting for the order to fight. "Any news, Captain?" asked his second-in-command, Heather Rodriguez. "Yes," he said. "We finally have a date. 1 month from today, we stop hiding." She smiled. "The crew will be happy to hear that. They're tired of being ghosts." Morris looked around at his ship, the most powerful vessel humans had ever built, but still small compared to the giant council warships. "We won't be ghosts much longer," he said. "Soon, we'll be something much worse. We'll be humanity's revenge." As Earth continued its act of submission, the final pieces of the plan came together. Weapons were loaded, troops were positioned, spies sent their last reports. The council never noticed. They were too sure of their power, too certain that humans were just another species to control. They had broken other species before. They thought they had broken humanity too. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The day before the council's observation posts were to be set up, Earth seemed normal. Council ships moved into position, ready to install their weapons around the solar system. On their home worlds, Zeridian and Krell leaders watched with satisfaction. Soon humans would be trapped forever. They did not know that this was the day humanity had been waiting for. At exactly 0400 Earth time, President Harper gave a single command: begin Operation Thunderbolt. Deep in their hidden bases, 50 human ships activated their quantum drives. In an instant, they vanished from the solar system. No council sensors detected their departure. As far as the aliens knew, all human ships were still accounted for. Commander Ryan Sullivan sat in the captain's chair of the TSS Vanguard, one of the new stealth ships. One moment he was near Saturn, the next his ship appeared at the edge of Zeridian space. "Quantum jump successful," reported his navigator. "No alarms. They don't know we're here." Sullivan nodded. "Begin approach to Zeridian command station. All stealth systems at maximum." The Vanguard moved silently toward a massive space station that controlled all Zeridian military operations. 9 other human ships spread out, heading for other targets around the Zeridian homeworld. On the main council world, Ambassador Diana Collins arrived for what the council thought was an emergency meeting. She carried a small case that passed through all security scans. The guards thought it contained only data pads. "Ambassador Collins," said High Minister Zal as she entered the grand meeting hall. "We did not expect Earth to send someone so important. Are you here to discuss the new observation posts?" Collins smiled politely. "In a way, yes. I have an important message from Earth." Across the council chamber, representatives from all 17 species watched with interest. Collins placed her case on the central table. Earth has decided that the current relationship with the council is not acceptable, she said calmly. Zal's face showed surprise. Not acceptable? But the treaty? The treaty was signed before you murdered 3,000 of our people on Europa. Collins cut in. Her voice was still calm, but now had an edge of steel. We have a new proposal. She opened the case. Inside was not a data pad, but a small device that began to project images into the air above the table. The images showed council ships attacking, not just Europa but other worlds, other species, years of violence and control. What is this? Demanded Supreme Commander Vor of the Krell. This is your history, said Collins. Every preventative strike, every treaty enforcement, every time you've attacked a rising species to keep them down. We found it all. The images changed to show each council species in turn. Your records show you did the same to most species in this room, Collins continued. How many of you joined the council only after they destroyed your major cities or space stations? How many have wanted to speak out but were afraid? The room erupted in shouting. Some council members looked shocked at the revelations. Others looked afraid. A few looked angry, not at Collins, but at the Zeridians and Krell. As the chaos grew, Collins stepped back. A hidden door opened behind her, and a team of soldiers led by Nathan Reese appeared. Time to go, Ambassador, he said. As they exited through a passage that shouldn't have existed according to council blueprints, the device on the table continued to show proof of council lies. Meanwhile, Commander Sullivan's ships reached the Zeridian command station. Deploy the jammers, he ordered. Small devices shot out from his ship and attached to key points on the station. When activated, they cut off all faster-than-light communications. The same was happening at communication centers throughout Council. Space. For the first time in thousands of years, the Council's worlds could not talk to each other. When the Krell detected human ships appearing in their territory, they responded exactly as expected. Supreme Commander Vor ordered their main battle fleet to head for Earth. Surely these primitive humans needed to be taught a final lesson. The Krell fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel near Earth, weapons ready. What they found waiting for them was not what they expected. A line of orbital platforms surrounded Earth, platforms that hadn't been there the day before, and facing them was a human fleet led by the newly promoted Admiral Hendricks on her flagship, the TSS Avenger. The Krell fleet has arrived, reported her tactical officer. They're forming attack positions. Hendricks smiled. Send the signal. The human ships activated their quantum drives, but instead of jumping away, they jumped short distances, right into the middle of the Krell formation. One moment, the Krell ships were in perfect order. The next, human ships were among them, firing from all directions. Impossible, shouted Vor as reports came in. How are they inside our formation? The Council had forbidden quantum displacement, technology for one simple reason. They feared what would happen if it was used in battle. Now they were finding out. Human ships appeared, fired, and vanished before Krell weapons could lock on. The platforms around Earth fired strange weapons that pulled Krell ships off course with artificial gravity. We're losing ships too quickly, reported a Krell officer. We must retreat. No, shouted Vor. Humans are weak. They cannot stand against... His words were cut off as the TSS Avenger appeared directly in front of his command ship and fired. All weapons. The Krell flagship broke in half from the impact. 7 hours after Operation Thunderbolt began, the results were clear. The Krell fleet was in ruins. The Zeridian command network was silent. 3 Council species had already sent messages declaring they would no longer follow Council orders. On the bridge of the Avenger, Admiral Hendricks received the final reports. All objectives achieved, she said. Send word to President Harper. Phase 1 complete. As news spread across Council space, shock turned to fear. The species they had dismissed as weak had just delivered the greatest military defeat in Council history. The Council had spent 2 years thinking humanity was licking its wounds. Instead, humanity had been sharpening its claws. 6 months after Operation Thunderbolt, ships from all 17 Council species arrived at a space station orbiting Earth's moon. The station was new, built just for this meeting. Its name was simple: Peace Station. Inside the main meeting room, the aliens waited nervously. The room was round with a large table in the center. The walls showed images of space and stars. At one end was the flag of the Terran Alliance, Earth and Mars together on a black background with stars. The doors opened and the human delegation entered. President Harper led them, with Admiral Carter, Admiral Hendricks, Defense Secretary Blackwood, and Ambassador Collins behind her. "Welcome to Earth space," said Harper. Her voice was not angry, but it was not friendly either. "We are here to discuss the future." High Minister Zal of the Zeridians stood up. His blue skin looked pale. The last 6 months had been hard for his people. Many Zeridian ships had been destroyed. Several of their colony worlds had declared independence. "Earth has shown great power," said Zal. "The Council recognizes your strength. We offer you full membership with no restrictions. You may keep all your technology. You may travel anywhere. We will even give you 5 star systems near Earth as a sign of respect." The Council representatives nodded in agreement. It was a good offer, more than they had ever given any species before. President Harper looked at the offer paper that Zal handed her. She read it slowly, then passed it to Carter without comment. The room was quiet as everyone waited for her answer. Finally, she spoke. "These terms might have been acceptable before you murdered our people on Europa. Now we will set the terms." Ambassador Collins stepped forward with a data pad. "Here are humanity's demands," she said, sending the file to all representatives. The aliens read the terms, and many looked shocked, even angry. Vor's replacement, a Krell named Drux, clicked his mandibles loudly. "These terms are not possible," said Drux. "You demand too much." Collins looked at him coldly. "You are in no position to refuse." The terms were clear. First, the Council would be rebuilt as the Interstellar Cooperative. All species would have equal voices, with Earth having a permanent leadership role. Second, all restrictions on technology would end. No species could be told what they could or could not develop. Third, the families of those killed on Europa would receive payment from Council worlds. Fourth, and most difficult for the Council to accept, their military forces would be cut by 60%. The remaining ships would have joint crews. No fleet could be controlled by just one species. "This would change everything," said Zal, looking stunned. "The system that has kept peace for thousands of years." "Peace?" said Admiral Carter, speaking for the first time. "You call what you did peace? Attacking developing worlds? Keeping species afraid? That's not peace, that's control. Your system allowed you to hurt others without fear," added Hendricks. "It deserves to be broken." The debate went on for hours. Some Council members argued against the terms. Others stayed quiet. A few, those from species that had suffered under Zeridian and Krell rule, seemed to welcome the changes. In the end, the Council had no real choice. Human ships still held key positions throughout their space. 3 Council species had already sided with Earth, and the quantum technology meant humans could strike anywhere at any time. "We accept your terms," said Zal finally. His voice was flat, defeated. The Treaty of Luna was signed that day. The old Galactic Council was gone. The new Interstellar Cooperative would take its place. As the signing ended, Linda Warren watched from the side of the room. She was not a soldier or a diplomat, but an anthropologist who studied alien cultures. She had been invited to record this historic moment. In her notes, she wrote, "The Council thought humans would be like all other species they had controlled. They were wrong. They offered us chains and called it protection. They expected us to accept our place. Instead, we showed them that humans would rather die fighting than live as slaves." Later that day, Captain Morris stood at a window on Peace Station, watching alien ships leave. The TSS Defiance was docked nearby. His ship had fought in 3 major battles during the Short War. Lieutenant Rodriguez joined him at the window. Do you think the peace will last? She asked. Morris thought about this. It will, he said after a moment. Because they finally understand something about humanity that we've always known about ourselves. What's that? Asked Rodriguez. Morris turned from the window. That we will not be controlled. That we will always fight for our freedom, no matter the cost. As the last Council ships left Earth orbit, news of the treaty spread across human worlds. On Mars, people celebrated in the domed cities. On Earth, memorials for the Europa dead were covered with flowers. President Harper gave a short speech that night. 2 years ago, we faced a choice. Accept life as second-class beings in the galaxy, or risk everything for true freedom. We chose freedom. We chose to stand up. And now we have won not just for ourselves, but for all species who have lived under Council control. She looked directly at the camera. Let this be known across the stars. Humanity will never bow. We will never surrender what is ours, and we will never stop fighting for what is right. The Europa Memorial became the most visited site on Earth. At its center was a simple stone with words that summed up what many felt. They thought we would beg for mercy. Instead, we taught them to fear. As humans began to work with other species in the new cooperative, the galaxy changed. Technology advanced faster. New friendships formed between worlds. Old hatreds began to fade. The Galactic Council had begged for peace on their terms. Humanity had refused and created a better peace for all. 5 years had passed since the Treaty of Luna. The interstellar cooperative was growing stronger each day. Where the old council had ruled through fear, the cooperative worked together for the good of all. John Carter, now retired from military service, stood on the observation deck of New Hope Station. This massive space station orbited a star at the center of cooperative space. It served as the meeting place for representatives from all member species. Admiral Carter, said a voice behind him. Or should I say Ambassador Carter now? Carter turned to see Zal, the former High Minister of the Zeridians. He too had a new role. No longer a leader, but just one of several Zeridian representatives. Just John is fine, Carter replied. I left the military 2 years ago. The two stood side by side, looking out at the stars. Once enemies, now they worked together on the cooperative's Peace Council. Did you ever think we would end up here? Asked Zal. Working together instead of fighting? Carter thought about this. No. After Europa, I wanted revenge, not partnership. What changed your mind? Results, said Carter simply. The cooperative works better than the council ever did. All species are advancing faster together than they ever did apart. This was true. In the 5 years since the war, technology had improved for everyone. Human quantum drives were now on ships from all species. Zeridian medicine had saved millions of human lives. Krell farming methods had ended hunger on 3 worlds. On a nearby planet called Unity, Kyle Freeman and Olivia Martinez had built the Cooperative Science Academy. Scientists from all species worked there, sharing knowledge freely. The old council would never have allowed this. The first-class graduates tomorrow, Carter told Zal. 200 students from 17 species. Zal nodded. My daughter is among them. She studies human history now, especially what you call the underdog stories. She says humanity's rise reminds her of many tales from your world. On the other side of the station, Captain Morris, now Fleet Commander Morris, was meeting with a group of new officers. His ship, the TSS Defiance, had become famous during the war. Now it was a training vessel. The Defiance was built in secret to fight a war, he told the young officers. Your ships are built in the open to keep the peace. That is progress. Among the officers were humans, Zeridians, Krell, and members of other species. They all wore the same uniform, the dark blue of the cooperative fleet. Sir? Asked a young Krell officer. Is it true you fought in the Battle of Krell Prime? Morris nodded. I did. I destroyed 3 Krell cruisers that day. The Krell officer's mandibles clicked nervously. My father's ship was one of them. He survived. The room went quiet. Everyone waited for anger or harsh words. Instead, Morris asked, "Where is your father now?" "He commands a trade protection vessel in the outer systems," the young Krell said. "He told me to learn from humans because you understand something we forgot, that freedom matters more than power." Morris put his hand on the Krell's shoulder. "Then he is wiser than many. We are lucky to have you both in the fleet." Back on Earth, President Harper was preparing to leave office. Her 8-year term was ending, and she had decided not to run again. Her last official duty was to open the Europa Memorial Museum. The museum stood on Earth but contained soil from Europa. Inside were the names of all who had died there, and the story of how their deaths had changed the galaxy. "We remember them not just as victims, but as the spark that lit a new path," Harper said in her speech. "Their sacrifice led to a better galaxy for all beings." After the ceremony, Harper walked with Grace Daniels, who now headed Earth's diplomatic service. "Any regrets?" Daniels asked. Harper looked around at the peaceful Earth, at the ships from many worlds in the sky above. "About the war? No, it had to be fought. About how we've built the peace? Maybe a few. We could have been more understanding at times." She stopped walking. "But that's the thing about humans. We learn. We adapt. We get better." In deep space, where the boundaries of cooperative territory met unexplored regions, the research ship TSS Discovery moved silently through the darkness. Heather Rodriguez, once lieutenant on the Defiance, now commanded this vessel. "Captain, we're picking up signals," said her science officer. "Definitely artificial. Definitely not from any known species." Rodriguez sat up straighter in her chair. "A new species?" "It appears so. And from the complexity of the signals, they're advanced." Rodriguez thought carefully about what to do. In the old days, the Council would have sent warships first to make sure any new species knew its place. The Cooperative had a different approach. "Send a message in standard greeting format," she ordered. "Let them know we come in peace and wish to talk." As the message was sent, Rodriguez looked at her crew, humans working side by side with aliens who had once been enemies. "What do we do if they're hostile?" asked her Zeridian first officer. "We hope they're not," said Rodriguez. "But if they are, we show them the same thing we showed the Council, that freedom is worth fighting for, but peace is worth working for." As the Discovery waited for a reply, Linda Warren finished her newest book in her office on Unity. She had spent 5 years studying how the galaxy had changed since the war. The title was simple: How Humanity Changed the Stars. The final line read, "The Council believed that power came from control. Humanity showed that true power comes from cooperation between equals. In refusing an unjust peace, humans created the possibility for a just one. As a new day dawned across cooperative space, the old fears faded. The galaxy was not perfect, no place with thinking beings ever could be, but it was better than it had been, and it was getting better still."